Hello, Aldo Figueroa here, and I'm going to show you how to use some type tools within this brief Illustrator demonstration. So what I'm going to do, what I have here in my Illustrator file, I just have a default document that I created, 11 by 7, oh, sorry, 8.5 by 11, a letter document. I want to make sure that my toolbar, showing the advanced, you could always go under Windows, Toolbars, and we see the advanced bar right here. And also I want to make sure the control bar is displayed. So I want to show you how you could use type within Illustrator. So I'm going to use the type tool right here. Under the advanced toolbar, you're able to get many of those controls. So I want to be able to have access to all these. So I'm just going to start off with the type tool. If you've ever used any type of type tool on your computer, you kind of probably know how to use this. I'm just going to write word visual technologies, technologies, and I'm going to go ahead and switch to my selection tool. I could just resize this right here by visually clicking and dragging using my selection tool. But if you go into Window, I have to scroll down. I'm going to go to Type. I'm going to pull out the Character panel. Keyboard shortcut Command T or Control T on a PC. I'm working on a Mac. Right here, if you click on these little options right here, I'm going to tell it to show options. It gives me a couple more options that are available. But what you could do right here, since this is selected, you could always go in here and change the font size. Since I enlarged it manually, it's putting the values here. You could always change the font. Now this is just basic functionality in many different digital art applications such as Photoshop, this being Illustrator. So you could go ahead and select a font, whatever is installed on your computer. You have some good ones, you have some interesting ones, but you also have some maybe not so good ones. I'm just going to go ahead and select just a block. I'm going to go to my basic Arial Black. I'm going to have this one right here. Now I want to show you a couple of things that you're able to do that is custom to Illustrator. With this one selected, this type, I'm going to go back to my type tools, and there's this really cool tool called the the touch type tool. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And what you're able to do, if you click on the individual letters, you're able to interactively change the letters, change the placement. You can make them a little, you could click and drag to make them closer. You could also up here, you could rotate them. So maybe I want this one to be slanted, this eye. Maybe I want to drag this one up. And I'm just going to click it and maybe put it right next to it. I'm going to click on this S. I'll put it here. I'm going to scale this one up as well. Maybe I just want the L to get larger. You could always click these and put them, all funky in different shapes. I'm going to click this one closer right here. Now I want this L to be here. Maybe this one is going to be rotated sideways. You can see some of the things that you're able to do. So that's one method that you're able to do. You're able to work with text. Another thing that I want to show you, this time it requires that I draw a path. So I'm going to go to my pencil tool here. I'm just going to draw a path. There we go. Under the type tool, this time I'm going to select the type on a path tool. What this tool lets me do, if I click on a path, I'm going to click right here, and I could go ahead and type something else. I'll go ahead and type visual technologies again. Technologies. Now notice that it did not fit. As a result, I get this plus sign over here. I'm going to switch to my selection tool. What I'm going to do, I'm going to lower my text font size. Maybe I'm going to change a font for this one. I'm going to select a different font. I don't want something that is as thick. This time I'm going to select something a little bit different. Maybe I'm going to use this noteworthy one. Now notice this one, this font is thinner, so it fits. So I can increase my font size, but I want to point out at the very edges, you have these little cursors. This is where the beginning of your text is at, and this is the end. And right here, there's another one where it's the center. So I'm going to go ahead and here, I'll stop right here. I won't go any larger. So I'm going to go and click on this. What you're able to do, this one, let's say I'm going to try to click on this tool right here. This is your limiter. If I go past this S, notice that I get that little red box. That means that there's more text there, but it doesn't fit within the area that I have selected. Now that I've done something like this, I could, depending on how much space I have, I could further place this along this path. So yeah, I only have so much wiggle room to put it along this path. If that text is smaller, let me show you. I went ahead and dropped it. There, I'll just go right here. We'll go 42. And I'm going to move this off to the side here. I can now drag it anywhere along this path. Now notice the default functionality is for this type to be along the path. Notice that if I click on this little, it's really hard to see, but there's the center piece. If I click on this cursor, if I drag it underneath my path, it switches the location. So if I click and drag it onto the other side, I'm able to change it. But right now, this is what's called baseline. It's aligning your type along that path. If with this one selected, if you go to type on a path, and select type on path options, you're greeted with this window. I'm going to go ahead and to turn on preview so I could see these happening. Now you are able to change the effect. The effect is how the text looks along this path. Typically I just choose rainbow, but since we have the preview, you could see each option. This is skew, ribbon, stair steps, and gravity. Gravity always kind of blows up. I'm going to go to rainbow. Now, align to path, this is baseline. Ascender, you can see that it goes because it's ascending, it's down below. Descender, it's up on top, it's above it. And center, this is now centered along this path. So I want to be able to take advantage of this method in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and tell it OK. Oh, before I do that, you can flip this as well. Just like what we were doing previously by moving this little cursor. I'm tell OK. This time what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this off to the side. Now, what if you have a shape? So what if you have, say for example, I'm going to use the ellipse tool and I'm going to create a circle. Let's make it a perfect circle by holding down Shift and dragging. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my selection tool. And right now I have a fill. It doesn't matter if you have a fill or a stroke, because I'm going to go back to my type on a path tool to have it selected. And wherever you click right here, click. It's now using that shape. It gets rid of the fill and a stroke if it had one and applies your text. I'm going to go ahead and type in Visual Technologies again. Visual Technologies. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to my selection tool. Now notice on this one, because it's a circle, because it's an ellipse, it's a closed shape, it does have the start point and the end point. They're kind of right next to each other. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make this font a little bit smaller. Let me go ahead and change the font as well. This one I want to use something that's a little bit different. Maybe I'm going to, what if I want to use this rounded Arial? Let's see, do I have just a non-bold? I'll go ahead and use this one. I'm going to go ahead and lower the size. That looks good. Now what I want to do, I'm going to zoom in so we could see this a little bit better. You can see that I have these little cursors. I'm going to click and drag this one. I'm going to drag it all the way around. And I want to make sure that it's right up against the S, because this allows me to change the placement around the circle. Now, since I do have smart guides turned on, that's why I'm getting these magenta guides. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to snap right here. Now, but what if I want some words underneath it? I'm going to go ahead and, because I want the same circle, and it's already selected, I'm going to go ahead and do an edit copy, but this time I'm going to go ahead and tell it to edit paste in front. By doing so, this is placing an exact copy layer-wise right on top of it. I'm going to go into my layer menu so you can see that I have these two of them. They're really hard to see, but I'm going to hide one of them. I'm going to hide the one that's down below underneath it. Visually, we can't see anything that's different. I'm going to drag this all the way around, and then I'm going to cross this barrier so that it's on the inside. Notice that this made it a little bit, it didn't fit within the inside. I'm going to change this type. I'm going to go ahead and select my type tool. I could double click on it or triple click. It selects it all. And I'm going to say, let's see, visual technologies. I'll say this one because this is the spring semester. Spring 2020. Now, before I actually change this, let me go ahead and bring back my other fonts. Notice what's happening. Right now, one is on the inside, one is on the outside, and I don't want that. I want them to both be along the center of the line. So I'm going to have to select each one. Right now, the Spring 2020. I'm going to adjust this in a moment. I'm going to go to Type, Type on a path. I'm going to tell it Gravity. I'm sorry, not Gravity, Options. Sorry. I'm going to turn on the preview, change the Align to Path to Center. So now it's on the outside. I'm going to tell it OK. And now what I could do, I could change the placement. I'm going to click on this one and put it towards the center. Great. Now let me do the same with the visual technologies. I'm going to go back, type on a path, options, and I want to place this one. We could preview it, but align to path, also center. I'm going to tell it OK. Now you notice that I need to adjust this one. Let me bring it out. There's the S. Great. And now I'm going to center this again because I'm using my smart guides. So now I have these both aligned to the center. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to deselect by just clicking elsewhere. I'm going to use my ellipse tool. I have smart guides turned on. Right here it's telling me that this is the center. I'm going to hold down my keyboard shortcuts, Shift and Option on a Mac or Shift and Alt on a PC. I'm going to click from the center point and I'm going to make a circle. And right now I'm going to just press D for default to give me the default colors. Yeah, we can't see this shape. I'm going to change the fill color. Instead of white, because my background is white, let me go ahead and select, maybe we'll select this red. Let's deselect it. I want to go back to my selection tool. This is selected. Layer wise, it's on top. I could right mouse click on it and I could go to arrange and I'm going to tell it to, I could tell it to send backwards. You see each time I tell it to arrange send backwards, it sends it one layer at a time. You can also see on my layers panel on the far right how it's sending it back. I could have also gone arrange and tell it send to back and it just drops it to the lowest part of the currently selected layer. So I want that. I'm going to go ahead and create another ellipse. I have my center point right here because of smart guides. I'm going to hold down my keyboard modifier, Shift and Option on a Mac or Shift and Alt on a PC. I want to create another shape. And this time I don't want to go all the way to the G for the technologies. I can go like so, but this time maybe I want the center color to be a gray tone. It will go a light gray. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and increase the stroke value to this one to be 4. And let me select the larger circle with my selection tool and also makes this one to be, for example, 4. And right here I have the beginnings of being able to further create my design. I could apply something, a graphic in the center. But I wanted to show you ways that you're able to work with type in Illustrator. One last thing that I want to show you is that with your type within Illustrator, I have the visual technology selected. Right now, this is only giving me a fill color. I could also apply a stroke. Let me go ahead and select white. And right now, 1 point, you could always make this a little bit smaller if you want to make it thicker. You can also change where it's going to be placed by going into the window, scrolling all the way down if you need to. Select stroke. Oftentimes, I'm going to hide these options. You might just be presented with this. If you right mouse, or if you're just not, sorry, not right, if you just click on this, show options, it gives you more options on how you could define how the outline is going to be placed. If you notice right here, align stroke, it's either baseline to the center, inside, or the outside. If I want these to be applied on the outside, notice that as I click, all right. So it might not be working as well with type, but I know it works with regular paths. Right now, this one is applied to the center. If I tell it to apply it to the outside, you can see how now that stroke value is on the outside. So there's also inside. See, it's going inwards, not going out, or just aligned. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm correct in that. Yeah, for font for type, it doesn't apply it. It's only baseline. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the spring. Let's do the same thing with this one, and let's go ahead and apply a white stroke. One, great. So now we have this. I'm going to go and close these windows. Close this. Let's zoom out, and here we could see all of our different examples of text. So this was a quick little demonstration of being able to use type using text within Illustrator. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.